Hello there. This is Rom Wills, and I'm coming back at you again with yet another video. Today, I'm going to talk about the real deal with alpha males. And our text for today is coming from my book, A Player's Eyes: One Man's View of Sexual Relationships. This might be this will be the last time I'll probably read something from the book. I actually have to buy it, and I think I might do one more subject based on the book. But that's it. I gotta check it out because I still have not really did talked about that one chapter every dude need to read that'll change their relationship experiences. Now, I haven't talked about that one chapter. Y'all gonna have to check it out. Anyway, I want to read that because there's a lot of talk on social media and increasingly in the general public about alpha males. And I wanted to set the record straight from my perspective. Understand, as the subtitle of my book says, this is one man view of sexual relationships. So, the whole concept of an alpha male is very interesting to me because you have so many people who have some type of definition. But this is my take. This is my take on it. Let me know if you agree, disagree, boo, hiss, and even my invisible commentators who give me thumbs downs and even though they haven't figured out yet that I hide their comments from my page, they keep commenting. Hey, y'all keep trying to. So let me hear from everybody about this. Anyway, let me read this excerpt. Well, this is actually a short chapter, but and I might stop and just comment on some things as I'm reading. Anyway, there's the thought that women want alpha males. It's something I've promoted myself on occasion. The alpha male is supposedly that tall, handsome man with a take-charge dominant personality. He kicks ass in all areas of society. He's the CEO of the billion-dollar corporation, the football quarterback, the charismatic leader of the drug cartel. He is the man. The wisdom is that these men get the best women. Indeed, it is thought that these women will have harems of beautiful women who are at their beck and call. Most dating and seduction advice geared towards men provide techniques for a man to either become an alpha male or to imitate alpha characteristics. Too bad it's all bullshit. To be clear, there are men out there who are hitting on all cylinders like that. These men are tall, handsome, and smart. These men are superior athletes and have above average intelligence. They also have a healthy combination of street smarts and book smarts. These men will be wildly successful in whatever endeavors they choose to pursue. These men are also extremely rare. I've met thousands of people in my life. That being said, I can count the number of these rare men on two hands. I actually did that one time and got to the second hand in like 3 days. It was something I had to think hard about. These men are damn near urban legends. Women who stay single until they find one of these men should start looking for good veterinarians because their futures will include a lot of cats. That's messed up. I trip over a word I wrote. Veterinarians. Yeah. Anyway. The few such men I've met on this level only dealt with women who rated at least a 9 on the infamous scale. The ugliest woman I've seen one of these men with was like an 8.5. While her face was 8.5, her sex appeal was 13. The average man is not going to have the genetics to be one of these men, even with plastic surgery and working out. Let me stop right there. If you really look at what people call an alpha male, you talking like a eugenic Superman. You talking some shit off of Star Trek and whatnot. I'm like, shoot. I want to meet these guys. But they telling you all the women are having sex with these, these supermen, these super smart men who are tall and good looking. Ain't enough of them to go around, y'all. That's what's silly about it. And plus, Men like this, they tend to get the finest ass women. They ain't gonna fuck a lot of women. Once a woman gets in there with somebody like that, both of them, shoot, they gonna hold on for dear life. And if this dude is like, running some business or, in charge of something big, you don't really have time to mess with maybe more than one or two women at best. So I want people to think about that whole concept. But anyway, that's. Let me get back to the excerpt. Now, men who are physically alpha males are more common. Now, let me stop right there. Remember, the description I just went over, which is the commonly held view of an alpha male, is usually, not just a physical thing, but a mental thing as well. Like I said, basically a eugenic Superman. Very few cats like that. Very, very few cats like that. Now, let me go on with this. Let me start with that excerpt again. Now, men who are physically alpha males are more common. They're seen all over the place. The only thing is that for the most part, they don't have the mental traits of so-called alpha males. These men aren't confident. These men are more likely to be flunkies as opposed to leaders. Many such men are boy toys for ugly women with money. Economically, many of these men work on low-paying jobs. A significant portion of these men live criminal lifestyles and will at some point get caught into the prison system. Thus the notion women prefer thugs over decent men. Nah, it's just that many thugs also have nice bodies. Let me stop there real quick. There's plenty of dudes like, big and muscular and all that stuff. And all of that, hell, there's plenty of them. But what a lot of people try to promote as the social traits really aren't there. Like I said, a lot of these guys, they flunk it. They goons. Let's just use a regular word. A lot of these guys are goons. And they get some. Yeah, they're gonna get some sex and stuff, but you ain't gonna have them running anything. Shit. Because shit, they usually following somebody who's a bit smarter. Shit, sometimes they might even be following the women around. So anyway, let me keep going. Here's a reality. Women will constantly talk about the personality traits they want in a man. It's the traits of the so-called alpha male. In men, women want confidence, competence, leadership, protectiveness, and the ability to provide. There are millions of men out there who have these traits. Let me say that again. There are millions of men out there who have these traits. Ironically, these men are the ones most likely to be single. Oh shit, we're going to get into it now. Even when these men aren't single, they tend to have less than ideal relationships. According to the prevailing wisdom, and I got quotes around the word wisdom, of dating and relationship experts, these men should be making out like bandits. That's not the case. When people are told about men who have trouble getting into relationships, several negative assumptions are made. One assumption made is that these men are ugly, basement-dwelling losers with poor social skills. There's some truth there, but only a tiny percentage of single men fit that profile. Most single men are hard-working men who have steady jobs and have homes and work in automobiles. These men are more than self-sufficient. One interesting assumption is that these men are blue-collar guys and as such are not attractive to increasing numbers of college-educated women. That's some bullshit. An honest look at the population of single men will reveal a large number of college graduates. This is something I can attest to from personal experience. I've done a lot of workshops, seminars, and relationship discussion panels. The men in the audience were not blue-collar guys or members of the lumpen proletariat. I know, y'all, that's a big word, y'all. Y'all keep forgetting I'm kind of educated, y'all. Anyway, I've done many a seminar with men who were at a minimum college graduates. I've sat on a panel at one time with PhDs who complained that they were single but looking. Just to be clear, many of the educated men I encountered were actively looking for women to connect with romantically. If one listens to the women looking for college graduates, these men should have had full date calendars. We know that this is not the case. These men are more than educated. These men are confident. They are smart. They're cool to be around. They can make a woman laugh. They can take charge. They are willing to provide for women. And for the women who say they want thugs for protection, once again, one of those words with quotes around it, these men can fight too. Let me stop there, y'all. Let me stop there real quick. I've heard plenty of women say they get with a thug because a thug can protect them. Y'all know how many cats out here who women would call lame, square, nerdy, who got like black belts in karate? I remember one time when my son was still taking martial arts, right? Went to this karate tournament, right? He could have been involved in it if I felt like paying some money, but I was just like, shit, if they ain't invite him, he don't need to be in there. Anyway, it was one of those money-making things, but regardless, I went there and I was just kind of checking out a lot of the dudes there of all races. These were not these dudes were not like fashion model type of cats or, guys who could, big muscular cats. These were guys you wouldn't give a second thought to, but they were walking around with black belts. And I've met a lot of dudes like that. A lot of dudes who, you think they're innocent or something, but all of a sudden you say something to them and all of a sudden they do a half kick to your rib or something, or they punch you about 5 times before you count to like 1. And these guys can more than protect. Whereas you got some so-called thugs out here who really some little bitches. Like, for those who don't know, I've worked in the criminal justice system. You'd be surprised how many these little dudes are like just, you'd be like, he's a thug. Yeah, they a thug when their boys around. You get in their face 1-on-1, they some bitches. Trust me. They easy as shit to punk. But, a woman getting them for protection. Especially some of these little dudes walking around here with their asses hanging out. Ain't no real man walking around with his ass hanging out. And that's just it. That's some little like closeted homosexual shit. And any men who doing that, who listening to this, hey, you can up and sub me. That's just how I feel. So anyway, let me keep going. Now here's the thing. I'm not the one saying all this about the men. The most important thing is what women are saying about these men. I've had women tell me a whole lot about the men in their lives. They have told me about the men they fuck and the men they keep as friends. Many women who complain about being dogged by some pretty boy or sexy dude will talk about that one man who had all the personality traits they want in a man. The only thing missing was that spark. Let me stop again. I've done so many videos. I got some video there that I talk about this. I gotta check it. I gotta check for that one again. But that spark, that little spark, you passing over a guy who can do all the things you say you want for a little spark. Okay. Let me keep going. They will say they didn't feel any sexual chemistry with an otherwise good man. In my book, Nice Guys and Players, I made what was probably the most important and indeed the most quoted statement. Sex is really the major difference between a nice guy and a player. Anyway, let me keep going. Women have dual needs in a relationship. The nature of society, however, is that the average woman will not articulate her sexual needs publicly. Indeed, many will not talk about their needs even in private settings. What's deep is that there are women so sexually repressed that they are not even consciously aware of their true sexual needs. At least until a predatory goodbar reads her and starts pushing some buttons. Women publicly say they want one thing, but privately want something else. Yes, publicly they want the personality traits of an alpha male. Okay, that's more than fair. Go for the best. The problem is that the men who have these traits are most likely to be single. Even when these men do get into relationships, they are likely dealing with women who are more attracted to their money and status. Many women will say they are looking for a doctor or a lawyer. Those are titles. It says nothing about the character or personalities of the men who hold those titles. If a lawyer is in a relationship with a woman who is looking for a lawyer, how can he know she wants him for him? What happens when that lawyer decides he wants to be a landscaper? Many professionals leave their careers to pursue their passions. Will the woman who married a lawyer stick around for a landscaper? Probably not. You see where I'm going with this? If a man is successful as a lawyer, hold up, before I even read further, that's some one thing, and I have a strong criticism of women. And no, it's not bashing. No, it's constructive criticism for any women listening to this. A title means nothing. That's just a title. You got some evil people who can be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. You got some sociopaths. In fact, a lot of people who move in more professional upscale circles can tell you they've encountered more than their fair share of straight up psychopaths. So that title don't mean anything. It says nothing about that person's character. It's just a title. It's a way to make money. You got people, I know of a gentleman in the D.C. area. This dude was an attorney, and he liked making cakes. And last I heard of him, I haven't kept up with him in a while, but this dude had about 2 or 3 stores where all he did was selling like pastries and cakes and stuff to people. And this person was an attorney. He's actually more successful like baking cakes than he is as an attorney. In fact, this dude was even on Oprah, featured on Oprah. So if a woman was going for the lawyer in that dude and decided, oh well, he's baking cakes now, I don't want to mess with him no more, she probably lost out. So anyway, let me keep going. So if a man is successful as a lawyer, he will be successful as a landscaper. The personality traits needed to succeed in any endeavor are generally the same. It all comes down to drive, willpower, and intelligence. These are generally considered alpha male traits. If a woman was truly attracted to the traits, it wouldn't matter what the man did for a living. There are many men, let me say that again, there are many men who have that drive, willpower, and intelligence. The only issue is that these traits seldom come in a physically enticing body. Boom. Now, I'm about to get into it now, y'all. Hold on. The media got people's perceptions of what a superior man looks like fucked up. Let me say that again. The media got people's perceptions of what a superior man looks like fucked up. In the movies, the action hero, the morally ambiguous crime boss, and the business executive all look like buffed pretty boys. Even if they play something like a biker, they look like pretty boys. Even their tattoos and dirty clothes will be pretty. People, particularly women, see this and take it as reality. Here's something to think about. A person's subconscious takes in everything it encounters as real, particularly images. The subconscious doesn't make a distinction between reality and fantasy, on its own anyway. If someone sees a person flying on a movie screen, it will be taken as fantasy if they are critical at the moment they see the person fly. They need only think people can't fly at that moment, and the subconscious records the moment as fantasy. Most people don't do that. I remember when people were more into soap operas back in the day. Women especially would talk about the characters as if they were real people. That's a problem. That's a problem with romance novels. Many women subconsciously take them as real. This is no joke. I've met educated women who say they wanted a man similar to a character seen in a movie. Many women are actually looking for a drop-dead gorgeous billionaire who will fall in love with a plain Jane. 50 Shades of Grey. Let me keep going. The reality is that the men who kick the most ass in society are likely to be short or slim or overweight. I've known a lot of men who have successfully built up viable business enterprises over the years. They wouldn't be able to make money as models. I've known several dozen men who have been in the military or federal agents, except for 2 of them who did look like they were out of central casting. These were ordinary looking fellas. The real heroes are ordinary until circumstances force them to become more. Those are the real alpha males. Now, many dating coaches and seduction gurus will suggest that if men would just imitate the behavior of these men, beautiful women would just come a running. Many men will do that. They will develop confident body language and speech tone. They will assert themselves to take charge in a situation. Some women may even engage them in a public venue. At the end of the night, though, that man doing everything he thinks is alpha goes home to pull his dick. Contrast that with the man I knew I'll call Cal. Cal was soft-spoken and not very assertive. Behavior wise, he went against everything dating coaches preach. Based on just his mannerisms, he would be characterized as a sexually frustrated nice guy. He probably had one of the highest and quality sex counts I've ever seen with a man. I've known several of his women. They were all in the 7-8 range as far as looks and sex appeal. Despite being quiet, women found him to be quite physically attractive. One woman told me he was beautiful. Another said she wanted to rape him. He was a good guy, but he didn't fit the prevailing image of an alpha male as far as his personality. As with everything else dealing with male-female relationships, as a culture, we need to examine many of our beliefs. They are not serving us. If women really wanted what are considered alpha males, many men would not be involuntarily single. There are all these college-educated women running around saying that there's a shortage of college-educated men. If that is the only issue, then let me say that again because I bolded and capitalized that word every. If that is the only issue, then every single college-educated man should have several women. We all know that's not the case. That's the excerpt. Run out and go buy that book, y'all. It's in the description box. Anyway, so check this out. That's one thing I've always had a problem with that because you have a lot of guys out here, and I still get men who seem like they have something going on. They hitting up my comment box, or some hitting me up privately. I'm out here seeing a bunch of guys who they are imposing their will on life, and they'll have what women say they want. And it's funny because this thing goes in with that successful man thing that I've done in several videos, successful black men, but this applies all the way across the board. And the whole, according to what people are saying, what people's dating experts say, these men should be making out. According to what the women say, they're like, well, where are the college-educated men? Where are the men who got what I have? Where are the men who have what I have on my level? You got women, they own a house and a car and stuff and got a degree talking about, I want the men on my level. But then they'll walk right past a group of men who have 2 cars, 2 degrees, own like apartment complexes, all because they don't look a certain way. You know what? I remember one time I was in downtown Baltimore, and I was shooting a breeze with a friend of mine, a young lady who owned a little restaurant down in the middle of Baltimore, right? Anybody from the area might know who I'm talking about. And I remember we were outside the restaurant. We were just talking about some general stuff. Real good person, right? And this dude came walking by. She said hi to him and everything. It was a young looking guy. He had dreadlocks, just some jeans on, dressed very plain. Probably wouldn't really stand out in most people's minds. I remember she looked at me. She said, Ron, you see that dude right there? I was like, yeah. He owns half the city block, right? Literally. And she pointed out, in this particular block has some like apartment buildings, businesses, a whole commercial property, everything. But that's an alpha male. But a lot of people probably wouldn't recognize him as an alpha male. And I think one of the things in just relationships, we have to like really deal with our perceptions. What is it about? Are we just, is the alpha male thing really just about the physical? Or is it about that man through his will, who's developed his will, his drive, his intellect, to impose his will on his environment and to make something out of himself? That's something to think about. Anyway, I'm going to just leave it up in there. I'm not going to come to any conclusion. I'm just going to let y'all think about that, all right? So anyway, that's it for today. I want y'all to keep rising and transforming. Peace.